My name is Elias Thorne, and a year ago, my wife and I bought our dream home. It was a Victorian manor perched on the crest of Rathbone Hill, surrounded by old oaks that looked like they were holding a silent council. It was a fixer-upper, sure, but the price was so low it felt like a clerical error. The realtor, a jittery woman named Mrs. Gable, kept rubbing her hands together and wouldn't step past the foyer. "Charming property," she'd said, her eyes fixed on the dust motes dancing in the sunlight. "Lots of potential." We didn't see the potential. We saw the future. My wife, Clara, was already picking out paint colors for the nursery we were planning. I was picturing my study in the round turret room. We signed the papers with grins so wide our faces ached. The first night, we were too tired from unpacking to notice anything. But the second night, the silence woke me. Not a quiet silence, an absence. The kind of silence that has weight, that presses on your eardrums. No crickets, no wind. The whole world had just stopped. I lay there, listening to my own heartbeat, and I felt watched. Not from outside the window, but from the corner of the room, by the door. I told myself it was just the new place, the creaks of an old house settling. Then came the drafts. Not cold drafts, but pockets of icy air that would appear in the middle of a warm room. You'd walk through the hallway and your left side would go numb, like stepping through a frozen waterfall. The air had a smell, too. Not rot, not mildew. It was the smell of a closet that's been sealed for decades. Stale wool and old wood and something else, something sweet and cloying, like decaying flowers. The first real moment, the one that cracked the door open in my mind, was with the photograph. We'd hung a few family pictures on the staircase wall. The next morning, one of them was gone. Just the nail sticking out of the wall. We found it face down on the floor at the bottom of the stairs. The glass wasn't broken, the frame wasn't scratched. It was just placed there, gently. Clara laughed it off. "Old house, old nails," she said. But her eyes didn't laugh. They darted to the top of the stairs, where the shadows seemed a little darker, a little deeper. Things escalated slowly, the way true horror does. It doesn't jump out at you with a mask and a knife. It erodes you. I started seeing a key, just a flash of it out of the corner of my eye. An old iron key hanging from a hook in the kitchen. I'd turn to look and it would be gone. A kitchen hook with nothing on it. I checked the junk drawer, the old boxes in the basement. No key. It was a ghost key. Then there was the bed in the spare room. The master bedroom had a king-sized bed, solid oak. The spare room upstairs had a narrow, iron-framed bed. One afternoon, I walked past the spare room and noticed the blanket, which we'd left folded neatly at the foot, was now pulled up, as if someone had tucked themselves in. I called out for Clara, but she was in the garden. I stood in the doorway, my hand on the frame, and I swear I could feel the indentation on the mattress, the faint, residual warmth of a body that had just gotten up. The climax, the part where I stopped being a skeptic and became a terrified animal, was a month in. I was in the basement trying to figure out why the fuse box was labeled with names instead of room numbers. Agnes. William. The boy. My skin crawled. The air down there was thick with that sweet, stale smell. I heard a creak above me. A floorboard in the kitchen. Then another. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Clara's gait was quick, light. This was a heavy tread, the walk of someone burdened. I froze, my hand on a dusty fuse. The footsteps stopped directly above my head. Then, a sound that turned my blood to ice water. A child's whisper. Not words, just the shape of a whisper, the sibilant hiss of a secret being passed. It was coming from the top of the basement stairs, from the other side of the door. I didn't move. I couldn't. The single bulb above me flickered. In the strobing darkness, I saw them. Not clearly, just suggestions. The outline of a man in a worker's cap near the coal chute. the hem of a long, dark skirt by the old washtubs, and in the corner, a small pair of bare feet, pale as mushrooms, standing perfectly still. The bulb steadied, and they were gone. But the smell was overpowering now, the sweet decay right in my face. I bolted up the stairs, threw the door open. The kitchen was empty, but the back door, the one we always kept locked, was wide open, swinging gently in a breeze that wasn't there. That night we didn't sleep. We sat on the bed, backs against the headboard, holding hands like frightened children. We decided we would leave in the morning. We'd stay at a hotel, call a realtor, sell the place at a loss. We didn't care. I must have dozed off because I woke to Clara's grip tightening on my hand. She was staring at the bedroom door, which was slightly ajar. Moonlight painted a silver stripe across the floor, and in that stripe, a shadow fell. It was the shadow of a woman, thin and tall, her hair in a severe bun. She was just standing there, watching. Clara whispered, her voice a ragged thread, "Elias, don't move." The door creaked open wider. The shadow didn't move, but it grew darker, more solid. The air grew cold, so cold I could see my breath. The sweet smell was overpowering, cloying, choking. Then, from the hall, came the sound of a child humming, a tuneless, broken little melody. It was coming closer. The shadow on the floor shifted. The woman was stepping aside, and into the stripe of moonlight, a small, bare foot stepped. Just a foot. It hovered there, impossibly, a pale, perfect little foot with dirty toenails, extending from the darkness of the hall. Clara screamed. It was a primal, raw sound that tore from her throat, and in that instant, the door slammed shut with a force that shook the entire house. The pictures on the wall rattled. The cold vanished, replaced by the normal, slightly musty air of an old bedroom. We didn't wait for morning. We grabbed our keys and drove down that hill at 3 a.m, not stopping until we were 30 miles away, in a brightly lit truck stop that felt like another planet. We never went back. We hired a company to pack our things and put the house on the market. It sold in a week to another young couple with stars in their eyes, blind to the frost on the windows. And that should have been the end of it. But you see, that's the thing about that place. It doesn't let go. We moved to a new city, a new apartment with no history. The first night we were unpacking, trying to reclaim our normal lives. I opened a box marked Miscellaneous Photos. On top was a picture of Clara and me, taken on our wedding day. But there was a third person in it now. Behind us, slightly out of focus, stood a thin woman in a dark dress, her face a pale blur. And at our feet, sitting on the ground as if he owned the place, was a little boy. He was looking straight at the camera, and he was smiling. I threw the picture away, buried it in the bottom of the trash can. But I see it every time I close my eyes. Clara won't talk about it. She just stares at walls now, sometimes humming a tuneless, broken little melody under her breath. And last night, I woke up at 3 a.m. The apartment was silent. Too silent. My wife was asleep beside me, but I could feel it again. The weight in the room. The watching. I looked towards the bedroom door. It was slightly ajar. A stripe of moonlight fell across the floor, and a small, bare foot, pale as a mushroom, was just stepping into the light.